Alright, hello everyone, welcome back to Crypto Warehouse. My name is Brogan, and today we are back for another trading stream. Hopefully you are all doing well. Hopefully you've had a great day so far. Hopefully this stream, if you haven't had a good day, will make your life better. I don't know, again, I yap a lot. I'll highly doubt it, because again, you know, I do talk a lot. You might, fall asleep, but if you have trouble sleeping, turn the stream on. I might send you to sleep. How many words I say? But today we are covering quite a few coins, so I can't dilly-dally too long. I will start a timer before I get into any of it, because we are also looking at the World Liberty Finance token, which is going to be exciting to look at, I guess. I'm not thrilled about looking at it, but I will look at it nonetheless. We'll also be looking at Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, Syrup, CRO, Sui. I can't even remember the whole list of tokens anymore. It's getting too long, and I cannot dilly-dally, like I said, because I can't. There's so many tokens now where I'm gonna have to start treating it like a machine, because I cannot physically add enough of my personality in the space I've got. So I'm just gonna jump onto CoinMarketCap, have a look at some percentages, see how it's going, and then we can move on to the charts. Okay, so 110,638 for Bitcoin, 0.17. I can notice CoinMarketCap has actually updated their website, and it's a lot more compact now, which is, I guess, cool. 1.26% over 24 hour, 0.17 down 1 hour. No one cares, again, only 4 minutes for the hour, but mainly 1.23% up on the 24 hour, 11.5 right now, kind of dancing. We will be looking at World Liberty Finance coin first as well before we go into Bitcoin. I normally always do Bitcoin first, but we're going to be looking at World Liberty Finance token first, before everything else. Ethereum 4,296. We are coming down again. Some of these tokens, I did miss some streams. Obviously, I do apologize. So it's been like another gap again of the weekend before we've looked at the most recent, obviously TA. So it's been since basically Thursday. I've had a streak. Obviously, I missed Saturday again. So we've had some time for things to move on to doing their things, and things have been going pretty good so far, I think. And again, obviously we will be getting into it in a second. With Solana, we've got 205.97, good price, pretty happy with that as well. We were expecting another retracement for Solana and then a move back upwards again. In terms of other coins, I think Syrup's still up. It's still at its top end. None of this, I don't know why I've searched up USDT. There we go. 45.81, still on the top end of this things. Again, we've had that big retracement from literally a few pennies off of the bottom of where I want it to come to, and I have a sinking feeling that we're not actually going to hit this price I want it to hit. But obviously, we will eventually hopefully see that price and continue onwards. So we will obviously see, but 45.89 still a good price for syrup anyway. Sui doing pretty well, $3.26, getting close to that $3.10 mark we've been talking about, $3.15. So I do think Sui is coming towards some lower ends, obviously not financial advice, and then there's World Liberty Finance, which is at 22.87, which is just going down and down and down. So we will be jumping onto that now. Yeah, I don't know if you guys have been noticing how Trump has been so far. This, I thought I would include me talking about this, not in a mean way, to talk about Trump in a mean way, but just to kind of like, because obviously I assume you guys have seen, you know, his hand and the makeup on his hand, and you know, the recent photos of him. I don't know if I've got it actually. I might have it in this one. Yeah, it is. It doesn't look like Trump. Now, I'm not saying anything bad. I'm not saying thanks. Obviously, he said himself he's never felt better in his life. You know, he's never felt better in his entire life. And he's getting on a bit. He's 79. He is getting on a bit. And obviously he said some interesting things. I want to try to get to heaven if possible, which is a very interesting thing to say. I don't think I've ever said that in my life. So again, that could be out of context. I don't know, but an interesting thing to say. And obviously he's had this thing on his hand, and he's looking, you know, he's looking a bit, you know. So I do think World Liberty Finance would be good, but if you can put two and two together, this wouldn't. If there were to be anything which was to happen to him, it wouldn't be great for World Liberty Finance, and you know, its whole thing going on. I'm not saying it would ruin World Liberty Finance. I'm just saying it probably wouldn't have a nice effect on the price if one of the leads were to have something unfortunate happen to themselves, especially with the entirety of this launch being within the midst of him going, guys, I promise I'm fine. And obviously not a very nice thing to have to, you know, say to the public, I'm not dying, guys. Please, trust me, I'm not dying. I'm not dead. So, you know, it's definitely an unfortunate situation for Trump to be in. Obviously, he seems to be a bit ill and whatnot, but I hope he is still good. But anyway, we can now move on to World Liberty Finance. Okay, the actual first chart of the stream, finally, and get on. So I spent a good 5 minutes talking, which is impressive for me. I normally spend a lot longer. Jumping onto the chart. So I haven't looked at World Liberty Finance too much. Okay, there was launch. Obviously, was interested in launch to see what was going on. Again, it's been the amount of people I've seen on Twitter saying how much money they've lost from buying World Liberty Finance and all this sort of stuff has not been very nice to see. I think it released basically Monday. Now I know it was released on different platforms at different times. It was released a bit before on Binance. I think. I don't know what time exactly everything was. I think Binance was later. I think MEXC was one of the first ones to open, especially with perpetuals. I know it opened at, you know, ridiculous prices, but again, the perpetuals were trading at 28 cents when these things launched. So I know there's a lot of people actually complaining on Twitter when I was, because basically as it was getting launched, I was just watching Twitter. I was watching the chart to see how it was going as it was being released, and I saw quite a few people complaining about, obviously, you know, oh, why have we immediately dumped 50 cent? We're being rugged. It's because there's a disparity of where it's actually being priced versus where it's been listed on. And obviously it basically has come back to trade where the perpetuals are being traded. Obviously that is what the actual valuation pre-market World Liberty Finance was being traded at. So that is where the difference is there. But anyway, looking at the actual chart, now the majority of the TA is going to have to be spent, you know, not on anything higher than the 1 hour. Because again, if you look at the 1 hour, we don't really have a lot of data. We have some things to look at, yes. We don't have too much data to really look at it on, though. So, yeah, I will probably just go to the 15-minute and then talk from here. So, again, you know, you don't really want to be looking and focusing just on, you know, 47.79. Like, oh, well, you know, I don't really want to consider this as a main price. Again, it would be a good target, obviously, but I don't really want to consider this as a main price to really focus on anything TA-wise. Again, I'm going to kind of draw a line. I would probably focus on, you know, anything past, you know, again, I'm trying to read dark line here, but pretty much, well, let me draw something, I don't know. I would pretty much scratch this out, you know, I would scratch this out, because again, this is listing price. This is things which, you know, this was list versus perpetual. This was the price coming back to actual valuation, like fair valuation of what the coin was supposed to be. Again, it was being traded at 28 cents as we were listing on Binance, so makes sense that we came down. So pretty much only really looking at since maybe 3:30, or my time 3:30. Again, this is listed at different times, different places, obviously. But pretty much this data, which again, we've got a decent amount of data to look at. But again, there's not really much I can talk about in terms of you know, magical things happening and it automatically going up to $1 or anything like that. So what we have, okay. So what was the main thing I wanted to look at is this main area. So this is another thing I want to look at as like, well, not another thing. This is the main thing I want to look at in terms of the importance of how we were moving, especially with breaking below this low, and how we've used this main expansion downwards, or displacement, whatever you want to call it, this main move downwards. And I want to talk about how we've used this, and obviously some of these highs as well, because this is just like absolutely ridiculous. This 25-28 cent area was absolutely ridiculous for the price. So anyway, so this one, obviously you can see we had this massive move. Again, it was listed differently from Perpetual. We obviously have come down from that massive price, again, produce these massive moves downwards. And then we had a little bit of retracement, obviously coming up into this gap to fill it a bit. And then this was the main thing as well. It was this move past this low. Because again, you know, there's not really much data here. Again, we have this move upwards. We have this move down. There's not really highs on lows, as we can see right now anyway. Obviously, we probably could go to the 1 minute, but it's not really going to be great for us to look at the 1 minute. But we can see, and there we go, 5 minutes actually, it's probably a bit better. But we can see, you know, we have this move up and we have this move down. This was the first established low of World Liberty Finance we had. Especially on Binance anyway. Again, this is where the issue comes in, where there's a disparity in price action versus Binance and other places where it got listed and where it didn't get listed. So that is obviously something to bear in mind, but we can only take what we have on the chart, so that is obviously what we'll be doing. I should probably actually read the chat in a second, because I haven't actually done that yet. So, but anyway, hello to everybody on Binance Square. Appreciate you all for being here. Thank you very much. If you do have no, I'm not going to say. I would normally say if you've got a coin you want me to cover, put it in the chat. However, I have a lot to cover today, and I'm not a lot of time to do it. So I normally do say that, but I've got World Liberty Finance to cover and everything else. So it's getting a bit much to look at and have freedom. I normally look at Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, and that's it. And now I've been thrown in the deep end of all these tokens. So again, you can put some things on. The chat, and I might hopefully look at them at the end. If not, though. So yeah. The scam centers use the predictions to lure customers. Is that for trade advice? Is this because of the initial traded price versus the actual valuation? Then yeah, absolutely. I mean, absolutely, yeah. It's like if you just see that and go, oh, it's being traded at 50 cent, and like, oh well, you know, Trump's involved in this. This is pretty cheap. I'm gonna long well, if you find it at 50 cent when it opens up Binance, and all of a sudden you've got all the other platforms and the actual pre-market trading value at 26 cent. And you're buying it at 50 cent, it's going to come all the way back down. It's like, of course, it's not going to go well because you're buying at the open before you should look at the pre-market. It's like, okay, yeah, I mean, let's not get into it anyway. So, first presented, first shown, the first low we had of this historical price. We open up, we've come down. This is our low. We can see we start to come upwards. You know, coming past this candle, we've actually started to come upwards. Just really look at the candle bars. You can see, you know, we've started a bit of retracement in this move. Cool. So we have this low. And then what happens? We print past this low here, which obviously is important. So this has now established to us we are technically in a downtrend. Technically now, because we have no price data to go off on this specific ticker on this exchange on Binance. We have no data to look at, and then we have this data here, which tells us, okay, cool, we've printed past this low. We have now started this move downwards. Okay, brilliant. Good. Now, what I want to focus on this, and why I'm focusing on this, is because of this move. The resultant move of what causes you to start in a downtrend. And as far as we're concerned, in this move, we've gone up, and now we've retraced. And we haven't printed past 20 cent. We've initially started in this move, okay? So, this is now spun us into a downtrend. So the expansive move resulting in this downtrend is something to is something to watch for. Considering especially this main candle, which brings us past this low, where in theory, you know, stops would be, or whatever, you know, whatever people want to coin it as. But that is definitely a main area. So this area in between the let me move back, there we go. This main area, okay, really focusing on this area. Now we can look at it on the imbalance on the general move, but we can look at it candle by candle basis. So that's what I'm going to be doing. So we have these two main candles here. So what I want to focus on is filling them. The idea of filling them and coming into these candles and using them as an area to sell at. In this case, obviously, in this case, as a downtrend, using them as areas to sell at and stop and move upwards. That is what I want you guys to think about when you're looking at these areas in these candles. especially in this scenario. So we have this example here. We've come past this low. We've come down. We've found a low, and we've started to retrace. This is definitely a good area. If I was watching this, and I wasn't watching this really at the moment, but obviously, if you're looking at this in this moment, this is a decent indication to go, okay, cool. Well, we've had whatever we've done a low, we've done a high, and then we've done a lower low. So we can obviously look at this range here. We can look at equilibriums. We can look at X, Y, Z. But the main thing is focusing on us filling this area. And we can go to the 5 minute. We can look at individual price action. We can see there's higher areas to focus on. We have an order block here, for example, which obviously we flipped. We can see we used a bit of resistance at 25.09. So we have some areas. We have different areas to look at. I will say that we did have different areas to look at, and also we can shimmy this up and get it a bit tighter, but it doesn't really matter. So that is the main thing I want to focus on, and then moving this forward to with this one up here at 25.68, this area to focus on. So we have this area, and I also want to really heavily point out how many equal highs we had here, and this high, which failed to get past this main high. So we have these two equal highs here, and obviously this high. So again, a really strong area for price to focus. If I draw the lines across, you can clearly see how strong of an area this is. And obviously we did start an uptrend in this area to come upwards to fill the rest of this area before moving downwards. But you can see how sensitive this area is going to be due to how many highs we would have taken in this area and then moved downwards. So again, high liquidity area. The idea is you know, especially in the scenario that this is an area to liquidate, if you will. We will fill this area, and the idea is that is probably the max area you will see before you start to move downwards, especially since that we have this area to fill as well of sell. Again, this whole area is just sell pretty much. So obviously we fill this area again. Good thing to look at. Took these highs. I'm going to delete all this now because we've used it. And then obviously we took this and came down. So that is pretty much the historical price action so far of Volatility Finance. And again, same thing with this area as we had with this area where we came past the low. We started the downtrend. Same thing here. Technically starting an uptrend in this move. And again, here as well, it's like we can see we have this move downwards. And if you look at the kind of, you can go to the 5 minute, look at this as well. Looking at the high which we moved past in this case, and obviously we printed back down. We had gaps which got produced on the way upwards. We obviously come to fill this again as soon as you see that print past in this downtrend anyway, and we've come upwards. That is obviously one you want to be focusing on different areas, especially obviously same thing here as well. We have this high, we have this move upwards, this gap here. Actually, this is probably the better place to draw it. I was kind of too much focused on there. This is the same concept of here. This is probably a bit of a better concept to look at, where we have this downtrend. We have our high here, a failed low. We have this down move, failed low, and then we move upwards, and then we've obviously started to move upwards, and then we've come down to retrace, below equilibrium of this area, and then obviously continue an uptrend until we have proven otherwise. Again, you start an uptrend, you start a downtrend, you continue those moves until you have reason to stop the move, or you have reason to reverse, or XYZ. You have reason to stop going down, or in this case, going upwards. And our reason for that was to fill this gap and take out all these highs on the way upwards. So we found a reason. Okay, cool. We're at 25.8. We have our reason to stop going upwards. And then we start a downtrend. And again, the same concept here as well. We printed past this low in this candle. We've retraced upwards to fill, not the whole thing, but a slight bit of it. And then obviously we've continued downwards in this downtrend. So not great for Volatility Finance. So what do we want to focus on now? What do we want to focus on? Well, we want to focus on what's going to stop us from going down, if anything. What's going to stop us from going down, and where will we stop at if we go upwards, and XYZ, and where we want to focus on. I shouldn't like. Sorry about that. So again, the rest of this area, and what I also drew was the imbalance area, which is the entirety of this move down. And this is especially the case with this as well, because we have this genuine downtrend area, massive move downwards, no moving back upwards, and then we obviously have individual candles as well, especially here as well at 25.6. We also have an order block here as well, or XYZ. On the 5 minute as well, you can see we can look at it a bit better. We can see we had the gap, we come to the midpoint, we come down, and we can highlight this as well. We can see we have another gap here. Same case here, probably even better. We can see we had where is it? There it is. We have our move up, we have a move downwards, and we can see we kind of have these equal lows here, and we don't really fail to get back upwards. We continue downwards, and this whole move is what prints us below this low and starts this downtrend. So we can look at this entire move here and really focus on it as a big resistance area if we were to come back to it. So I definitely think 25, this 24.6 is also going to be a area we want to remember. Again, this area we've already really filled. We can kind of just leave that there. Again, we've used it. Same thing here. We've used this area. Same thing here. We've used this area. We can stop drawing it. We can stop bringing it along. But the outstanding one we have, if we draw that, there we go, is going to be this area here. Also, what I want to focus on as well is equilibriums and the idea of retracing up on the higher time frames to these areas. Now, what we notice is as soon as you start trading above equilibrium is the optimum area for when you want to start to look for a short again. If obviously we don't have a reversal, if XYZ, you know, we're not focusing on this. And probably what I also want to do is really look at this move, the recent high to the recent low of this. And you can see as well, it's the same thing. We come above equilibrium. Obviously, this example, we go into the lower time frame to actually find where the resistance is. But we can see, obviously, we have this high here. We have these triple highs here. We can see we have a general high area at about 25 to 25.5. And we can see that's the general area we come into, you know, by about 0.05 cent, you know, into this area. But obviously, the lower time frames is where that resistance is. So from here, you have this high to the low, and you have this lower high. The idea is, if you are in this downtrend, is to continue downwards towards the next low, which is going to be basically 21 cents. So in this case, on the 1 hour, it should just be us continuing downwards, you know, in this whole general scope. But again, I do want to focus on the idea that, okay, we have a 1 hour order block here as well. This is going to be resistance. This also reverses. This whole move downwards is what reverses us in this area. So this whole expansion downwards. Obviously, top end of that is still 24.3 as well. This general area, 24.3, 24.7, is what I would focus on. And I'm not saying we are going to come to that area. Again, none of this is financial advice. But in terms of, okay, on the 1 hour, we should have, and you can see it easily here as well. It's like, okay, on this move, it's down to a lower high. But within that move, which, you know, brought us to this lower high, we did have a high to a low to a high again. So if you look at this and go, oh well, look, you know, we've printed past 25.2. You know, this is an uptrend. Why are we not going upwards? Why are we not pulling back up to 50 cent? Obviously, you know, number one doesn't help is the fact that we had this start price at like 50 cent, and obviously we dumped right back down to where the pre-market value was. But also we had that retracement again, the high to the low. Coming above equilibrium to find somewhere to sell at. We found that area at 25.6. We found that, and then we dumped. And the idea is you want to come past that low again and start to continue that trend downwards until proven otherwise. And what I think that my proven otherwise is definitely going to be this area again. If we continue downwards, you know, it's like, okay, we could have equal low, whatever. But again, this is out of anything I will talk about today, this will be the riskiest one I will talk about, because again, this is a recent market which has opened. This has well enough potential to break out of whatever I'm going to be saying. I can tell you what I can see, but I can only have so much confidence in it comparatively. Again, when I talk about Bitcoin, I have a lot of confidence in when I talk about. When I look at Ethereum, when I look at Solana, Syrup, Sui, CRO. I need to look at CRO actually as well. I might not look at CRO actually. There's a lot I need to talk about, and I've spent a lot of the stream already talking about this. You know, this is the out of anything I will talk about today, this is the one where I will say be careful. You know, because again, I could be very wrong. This is a recently released token. I have to look at the 15 minutes to talk about this because of how recent this is. And I normally don't really look at the 15 minute. If you guys, you know, some of you guys are here who have been on my streams before, you know how I don't really look at the 15 minute that much. So again, I will, you know, I will say to you guys, please just obviously, you know, bear this in mind, not financial advice, XYZ. I'm not a professional, whatever. But we can see obviously on the intermediate area, we do have the gap we were looking at on the 50 minutes. We can see the translation on the 1 hour as well. We can see we have this candle upwards. We have this candle which prints past this area here, and this candle which starts this move downwards. We can see we have the gap here as well, where if we were to draw this just to show it quickly, we have the general midpoint 24.6 again as well. Top end about 24.70. So again, this main area is definitely going to be an area to watch for World Liberty Finance if we were to retrace back upwards. Where am I? Okay. So in terms of if we were to have this sort of move we had in the 1 hour where we continue downwards still, I do think we could have that. Again, we've already done our low. If we consider each individual move, you know, high, low, or low, high, we can see we've clearly printed past this low. We're clearly in this downtrend. So unless we're printing past 26 cent and we're pumping up all the way towards 28, we're still in this phase, okay? So we're allowed to come up towards 24 cent, and you can see we're kind of already starting to have a bit of a hoverage move upwards. So from what it looks like to me is we've had this retracement, we've had these print past some of these lows, and we could be starting a bit of a move upwards towards a resistance area on the higher time frame. Again, we can see this main area at 24.7 as well in this candle, where we kind of start this move upwards before we have a bigger dump downwards to focus on 21.5 cents and whatnot. So that's what I will say about BTC Finance. Again, not financial advice, but I do think we could still continue to have negativity in the future. But so far, I can only talk about this so far. Again, it is a really new token, being launched and released, and the price action is very new, and it's the token I will talk about today, which will be the highest risk one to focus on. That's what I will say. So, YouTube, the other chat, Danny, even to you, thank you for being here. May love me to the moon. Again, for what I will say, I hope it goes up for people, because I know there's a lot of people who invested in this, and it's rough. It is rough. And the idea again, I had people talk to me about, oh yeah, this is definitely gonna pump, and it's like, everything always seems to go the opposite way of what the general public thinks it's gonna go. And I know people do talk about that as well, but it's unfortunate. Again, I've seen a lot of people on Twitter say I've lost a lot of money from trying to trade this, and it's like it would be disappointing if I saw this on Binance and saw it's recently listing and it's going to be opening at the opening would be at 20 cents. To be fair, actually about this, well, the opening would be 20 cents. The close would be 27, and then this high would be 47. So I don't even know if this is, because again, I don't have a lot of other charts on TradingView to look at this. I don't even know if this was valid here. I don't even know if it retraced. What it would see if we did start there, to be fair, is it would be a black candle or down candle. So unless we would have opened at 20 cent and come upwards. But anyway, to see it trade upwards towards 47 cent, and if I was looking at BTC Finance, and I was trying to trade it, and I was just simple. And I was like, okay, I'm going to trade BTC Finance. I'm going to buy it's 12th coin. I'm going to buy a coin. I'm really excited to look at BTC Finance. Oh my god, it's at 42 cents. I'm going to buy the thing. And then there you go. You bought the set. You bought it at 42 cents. And now you're going to hold this coin forever and a day until it hopefully gets towards 42 cents. And guess what? It gets back up towards this area. And everyone just like you who's bought this coin at 42 cents is all going to want to get out at the same time. And it's going to dump. So, we'll see. I wish it the best though. I do wish it the best. I will go into Bitcoin now. I think I was looking on this chart. I think last. I think I was. I'm going to bring up the Square chat on my main monitor and have a look. I'm going to not pause the stream, but I'm going to stop yabbering. And I'm actually going to look at the chat. Let me scroll up a bit because there's a lot of chat. Let me. On to long two. Yeah, I would wait. I would hold off on longing unless you're trading it really soon, and you're doing a really small trade. Well, not a small trade, but a small time frame trade. I wouldn't do that. I see a lot of hellos. Hello to everyone. Yeah, if you said hello and you've been in the Square stream, hello to you too. I appreciate you guys for being here. Shout out to you guys. Obviously, we've got a lot to cover. I don't want to keep this chat too long because again, you don't know how long I talk about. If you're new to the stream, this is your first stream, I talk a lot. Okay, I yap, whatever you want to coin it as, okay? Yibba yabba, XYZ, again, obviously people around the world. You might have your own local dialect, with your own local meanings of that phrase, but I do talk a lot, so the idea of us holding an hour stream might be ill-sighted, and we might not be just an hour, but obviously we will see. That was weird. My voice look at it. Where is the chat? There it goes. Thank you, sir. Amazing lads. Thank you. I appreciate you for saying that. I'm glad it's obviously it's not financial advice, but it's just my ideas. Again, it's my opinion. That is the most important thing. It's my opinion. I think we'll go up soon. We could again. And this thing, I could be very wrong. And this is the thing. It's like when I look at Bitcoin, Solana, Ethereum, I'm majoritively right. And this is the thing. If you're majoritively right, that's okay. And there's people out there who you'll do 5 trades, they'll win 1 and lose 4, but they'll be profitable. Because they know their strategy is one where it's kind of a silver bullet, and it's kind of like, not a silver bullet, but it's like a It's kind of one where it's like the chance of it going wrong is quite high, so you have that appropriate risk management where you can still make profit on it. So as long as you're aware about that, and I am obviously fully aware of the idea that I can be wrong, and this is the thing. If someone promises you that they're always right, you might not want to just put all your faith into them. And that's just what I say. Again, I'm not perfect. I get things wrong, you know. So, but again, and that's what I'm saying with World Liberty Finance is I could be very wrong, and it could absolutely pump. And especially the case with World Liberty Finance because it is such a new coin and it has this sort of price action. So you know what I mean. You're doing great for 2 hours. Thank you. News from Trump, and it will move to $1 to $2. I hope so. For the people who invested, I hope that's the case. Do you know what I mean? I hope that is the case. I hope that it comes out and says, guys, World Liberty Finance is the best thing I've ever seen in my life. And they're like, oh, World Liberty Finance. And then everyone buys it, and it's at $2. And you guys who bought it at 50 cents, it doesn't matter where it came to. It doesn't matter it came down to 22 cents. It doesn't matter because it comes to $1, and you guys have sold, and you guys made a lot of money. So that's what I hope for you guys, or for the people who bought it. I personally have not bought any World Liberty Finance. I couldn't be bothered with pre-market, trying to trade a pre-market, buying a pre-market. The best I would do would be trading a pre-market, but hell no. Hell no. But I hope so, yeah. I would wish it would. But again, obviously, you know, Trump's getting old. He's 80 now. He's got something on his hand. The Queen had this thing on the hand. You know that grey thing on the hand? The Queen had this. Where's the Queen now? Not with us anymore. So, shout out to the Queen. Appreciate you. Yeah, love the Queen. God save the Queen. 15 minutes. That's my first time I join a live, and your amazing analysis. Thank you. I appreciate it. Again, if you enjoy it, obviously you can follow. You know, I don't want to take you away from your money. Again, obviously, this is just my opinion. I'm not selling anything here. I'm just doing my charts. Again, take this as you will. But I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Good host wish me. Shout to Amina. I'm trying to get through the chat. I can't move my World Liberty Finance from Trust Wallet. I'm not familiar with Trust Wallet too much. I'm not gonna lie. So, I don't know. Look it up. I don't know. Maybe someone online has had a similar problem, has fixed it. I don't know. I have not bought any World Liberty Finance. I have not bought it on Trust Wallet, so I do not know the specifics of Trust Wallet. And speaking very fast, okay, I will slow down. That's a good point. I do apologize, Matu. I apologize. There are quite a lot of new people here. I will slow down and I will say it a bit more rounded. I know I speak fast. I do apologize. Let me just go up a bit more. I think you need a short trade. Is that for World Liberty Finance? I think so. And again, this is the thing. I think we're going to have a slower retracement for World Liberty Finance. And I think it might hit a point where we start to come down a bit more. But again, that is not financial advice. Filecoin has any chance to 50? I can try and look at Filecoin nearer the end of the stream. I'm going to try and speed run all these charts. Because I do talk a lot. I will try to speed run a bit, and then we can try and get onto some other coins. So yes. Okay, so people are shouting at me. I apologize. I know I speak fast. I will slow down. Perfectly fine. So, Bitcoin. Let's go on to the daily and have a little look. And for new people out here, I will talk about what I've been talking about so far. I might have another chart actually which has the stuff. This is not it. Which chart is it? It's this one. Okay. So I'm going to talk about what I've been talking about so far. Just a really quick update, because I've got a lot to cover today. A quick update on what I've been talking about with Bitcoin. So here we go. So we had the high. I'm not going to talk about, I'm not going to talk about the entire history of Bitcoin. Again, I can't talk about the entire thing, but I can talk about this move so far. I can talk about what I've been talking about. We had a support, now turn resistance at 112. We had this downtrend with this imbalance here, which we had a gap on the lower time frames. We had this gap here on the daily. We had this gap, as you can see. We have this candle here, which we came to fill, and then we continue downwards. Now, the reason we pumped in this was because of this support point. We can see we came to find support. We wicked below these equal lows. We found liquidity, and then we came upwards towards our resistance. Again, same thing I've been talking about. The idea, and this isn't, again, I'm not coining this, but it's my theory. Again, a lot of things in the market are theory. You'll never be proven. You can have theory. There's auction theory, for example. It's all theoretical because, you'll never know the markets perfectly. But my theory, which I think isn't just my own thing, it's a lot of people, is I think the way I like to think about a chart is I think about its movement going up or downwards in the way that it can go up until it has a reason to stop going up. So, for example, in this case, we have our move down. This entire move down. It's a whole move down, and then in obviously my opinion anyway, why did we stop coming down? Well, it wasn't out of nowhere. We had a reason. We found a support point, which obviously we used. We then came deeper, and then we found these equal lows, which have value to it. To come past these lows, we garner value. We have value in Bitcoin. We come past this low, we find the value, and then we start to go upwards, and that is what causes us to stop going downwards. And then we go up, and then why do we stop going up? Well, again, obviously we need to do a lower high. We found our value liquidity area. We then found our resistance at this gap area, this entire this whole expansionary area. We came towards this midpoint, and then we continued downwards. Same thing here. We continued downwards, and then we had another gap. Again, same thing here, another gap. We've come down. We also had an order block here. We had a support point here, as well. I will also say we had a support point, and I've been talking about this actually. We have this entire range here. This is a weekly support point. This candle here is a weekly support point. So if we go to the daily, we can see, we have this low. This one at 108,970. We had a gap here. We found the support point in this area, and then we came upwards. And then we had these expansionary candles. We found resistance. Obviously, we had this resistance here, which we stopped at. We found the resistance, and then we continued downwards. And the same thing here. We've come to we've come to take these lows. We've come to these lows here. And now we've stopped. And now we're going to come back upwards until we stop and find a reason to stop at. And that is my theory. That is my opinion anyway. So let's go back to the other chart so I can look at what I have been looking at recently. So 1 hour. Let's go. So I was talking about this range. Again, the idea, premium and discount, and the idea of longing and shorting at these areas. The idea is if you're in a downtrend, you want to look for retracement above the 0.5 mark. So above an equilibrium, so the midpoint of an area, you want to find your high in that area. So for example, this is a perfect case here. We had this gap area, but we had this support or resistance in this case actually on the 1 hour. I think we had this resistance again. You can see we had this gap here which we came to fill. In this area, you can see this is the gap area. We came to fill it in this area. We then formed a resistance. You can see these candles which. This last candle move up before the move down, we can see, and it's actually, to be fair, it is actually the entire area. And we can see this last move up before this massive move down results in a resistance point in here. You can see we kind of came back up into the area, came down again. And once we've found that low and we've started to reverse, we can see we're reversing, we've started this uptrend. We don't want to find that high above the 0.5 mark and then start to come down. So again, obviously we had all these candles here. We had our resistance here. We had the resistance at this midline. You can see here at 113, we had all this resistance, and then we came down. And then the idea is you find that lower high. And again, think about a downtrend. This is a downtrend, right? Your first time trading, you look up what is a downtrend. This is what you see, right? Lower highs and lower lows. So it's just the idea that once you've done that lower high, what are you going to want to do next? You're going to want to do that lower low, right? So same idea here. You've done that lower high here at 113.6. What are you going to aim for next? Let's say you find your resistance. You go to 50-minute. You have a reversal. You short. Where are you going to target? You're going to target this low here. So you aim for that low. So you find that resistance. You want to target the low because you're actively in a downtrend on Bitcoin. So you're going to want to target that low. You form that low. Same thing here. Same thing again. You draw your range from the last high, last low, like this. Obviously, in this case, it came down to here. And then you target areas which just about come up above this equilibrium point here. And then you target that move upwards. And then you start to reverse. So on the 1 hour, on the 50-minute, it might look like you're in an uptrend. And yes, you can trade this. It's the same concept here. You have, let's say, this high to this low. You can see we have low to the high. We retrace. We have a gap here, for example. We've come to fill this gap. We've come to 108.6. And then where do we target with this? Where do we target? Again, same thing. We target the highs. We've come up and we've taken the high. So you could have long the 1 hour. So it's this balance between, are you in an uptrend, are you in a downtrend, where are you targeting? So that is obviously what I want to focus on. And again, we've come to that area, and I've been talking about this area last stream. We have this area on this time frame, on the 1 hour. So we can see it again, okay, 111,650, this general area. And again, same thing here. We had this gap area. We took that, we have this gap, we took it in these highs, and then we dump. So again, last up close before this down close, this is going to be resistance. And we can see we found resistance here. We found a high here, actually. Again, another thing to target, old highs. So we target that old high, 111.5. We can see we've come past this high here, and now we've had a bit of retracement. But again, same idea. We're in an uptrend until proven otherwise. We have this move. We have an order block here as well. We can see we have found liquidity, and then we pumped. So this is also going to be a support point in this candle here, which also sits around 109.11, 109.8. Go to 15-minute here, for example. You can see we have these gaps on the way down. It's this general imbalance area here, we can see. And the equilibrium's coming at about 110.06, coming towards probably filling 109.6. So I would say 109.6, 109.5. It looks like we are continuing this move down. As you can see, we kind of have this, move down here. I think we could aim towards somewhere below 110. And I think we might have another push upwards towards Bitcoin. So we have this move. I think we have one more push upwards, and I think we want to start to target towards 112, 140. But the example is anywhere above 110.3 is when you want to focus for that longer term resistance or longer term reversal point. So. And again, it's the same thing. It's like on the 4 hour, all we're doing is moving upwards, and we're just trying to find that lower high until we target 107.2. But on the 50-minute, it's this whole thing we're doing. It's this whole thing. We've gone from the low. We had this high. We have this low. And again, obviously, I already drew this. We had this low to the high. We came to this support point. Same thing, low to the high. We're coming down towards equilibrium now. So it's the same thing we did with this move. I think it's the same thing we're going to do with this move, where we're going to come down towards finding a support point and then coming upwards again. But I do think at some point soon we are going to see this end point. We didn't really have much in the way of here. We already had some gaps which we have come to fill upwards again. We had this gap here. We had this gap which we came to fill. We had gaps over here which we came to fill. So we've kind of just been slowly moving upwards in this way. And then we get towards that equilibrium point, and that's when you want to focus on finding a reversal. So where do you look for? So again, this is below equilibrium. We don't want to look at it. We look here. We have this high, we have this resistance, and then we have this gap, and that's pretty much it. So that's why I'm focusing on this area in between 111.5 towards 112. It's where I reckon this high is going to be before we want to target the lows again. So that's obviously what I'm talking about, and that's what I think with Bitcoin. So that's pretty much it on Bitcoin. I'm going to be moving even faster now because I do need to go on to another like 4 coins. So that's pretty much Bitcoin. Again, I do think we are continuing downwards towards the lows. I think if I do want to go to the daily low, because I do want to talk about what we're doing and why we're doing it. So on the way downwards, we want to be targeting old areas of interest. So again, we targeted gaps like this, for example. We targeted this gap. We targeted these lows. We had this order block we targeted. We're going to have this gap we're going to target at 103. I think 103.7 is going to be an area. We also want to target these lows at 105. We want to target these lows. This area, we're going to want to target this low especially. And then we have this 90k area. And again, this has been a summit we've had on the weekly as well. We're going to want to target where's the main areas to target right now in this case. We've printed past these equal lows. We've printed past. We are definitely going to be in this downtrend. We have this massive gap as well at 115. So we have some resistance as well. I think we're going to be continuing downwards. We're going to want to, and again, obviously I already looked at this this weekly support point we've had here, coming towards 103. And again, what did we just say? 105, 103. So I do think we are going to come down towards this area. I do think we could push up again towards 115 or whatever it's going to be. And I do think we are going to continue this trend downwards. So, and again, I do think it's going to finalize about about 90k. I do think these gaps are going to be very interesting to focus at this 93, 90k area. So that's pretty much it. That's higher time frame, lower time frame. That is Bitcoin. Let's go to Ethereum. So Ethereum's case, let's have a look what we've been looking at. So what I've been talking about, and this is the same chart that talks about, or I looked at on Thursday, was the idea that we did have this support point, but I wanted price to come towards this main support point and see if we could use its support before we go up. Now, I know there's actually quite a few people who do agree with me on the idea that we can have one more leg upwards for Ethereum. I think Benjamin Cowan's also talking about us going upwards again. I think Mike is also talking about us going up again. So I do think there's a general agreement that we're going to have this move upwards for Ethereum, and we're going to be coming upwards towards new highs on Ethereum. So what I was talking about, and again, there's not much for me to update because I was talking about this chart here. I was talking here. And what I was saying over here in this move was, I think we're going to come down towards here, or this area. And obviously we've had this move downwards, we've come to this area. So I do think at some point soon we could relatively see a reason to find a move upwards, basically. Is what I'm thinking. And now we can see we actually formed support on the way upwards. We had this last candle, we found support in this candle. We can see if we draw this candle, we had support in this area, and then obviously we came upwards. We found support in this candle, in this move upwards, and obviously we've come upwards in this area. And obviously if we draw that area on this candle, we can see we kind of come into it and found support. But obviously now we're starting to come down. So the more support we form on the way up, the weaker it's going to get in terms of order blocks, is what I wanted to focus on. But what this means for us is that we can focus on, not only do we have this main order block on the daily, but we have basically coming from about 4,060 all the way up to about 4,300. This is a general support area. As a whole, we do have pretty equal lows, about 4,200. So in terms of Ethereum, especially if we look at the daily here, we have this daily support on this candle, which again we've actually wicked down to. We can see if we draw this as a rectangle here, we can see we've pretty much wicked exactly to this midpoint, 4,210. We can see we have this support point, and again, this is my reasoning. We had this support point in this candle. We formed another support in this one here. We can see the midpoint of here in this individual candle, and then we found support in this mid area. We've come down a bit more, as you can see. And when we have this midpoint again, which we found support at. So I do think relatively soon, 4,200 area, we might see support for Ethereum. And again, this is a high liquidity area. We filled this gap here on Ethereum. We filled this area, and then we've come upwards. So again, this is going to be a good support point for Ethereum. And again, we are using it. So I do think relatively soon, in the next coming days or hours or few days, whatever it's going to be, I do think Ethereum is going to start to come upwards again. And realistically, we don't have much resistance on the way upwards. And again, we've been in this uptrend, and what have I been talking about the entire stream? The idea that we have these retracements towards below equilibriums, and as we come upwards, as we do our thing. And again, I think in Ethereum's case, we were very expansionary. We didn't come back down to this area. Now, what this means for us, and I've been talking about this as well, I want to quickly show it for the people who are new, is the entire area. It's the same thing here. We printed past this area. You can see major move, printed past here for a new high. And this is the same thing here as well. It's like the gap which formed this new move upwards. And we looked at this on World Liberty Finance, where you have that new that gap which breaks you above old. You're in this downtrend here. You know, we print past this low, we're in this downtrend. We print past this high for now an uptrend, and this gap is what got us past that high. So this is going to be a major support point. Again, we came back to it, 4,050, and obviously we've continued upwards again. So, but I do think we are going to see at some point soon, we are going to see that stopping point where I do think we are going to see a big retracement. But I don't think it's going to be a bad thing, per se. And this is also another thing I want to focus on. The idea of a breaker block. Now, what is that? A breaker block is basically, let's say you're in a downtrend. It's the idea that you have this, let's say you have this move, right? Where you come past a low to take that low, and then you come past the high in this same move where you come past that low and you come past that high. You target both these areas, and this move is going to be a support point. In this case, anyway, on a reversal, is going to be a support point. So if we take that into account and look at what we have here, we have the main low, we have a main high. We have it here as well. Again, we took that low, we took that high. But in this general trend where we have this move, we have going to the monthly. This is more of a move upwards for the monthly and whatnot. Really focusing on this move where we have this high to the low for a high, low, high. So basically this move where we've taken this low and taken this high, focusing on this main area here. Again, sitting at support 3,000. 3,100. I do think we're going to see, nowhere lower than 2,200. Again, this is the weekly. This is again going to be a big resistance or a big retracement, as we haven't seen much retracement on the way downwards. And the only gap apart from that one we've already used coming down for Ethereum, again, we've kind of used this area, is looking at about 2,700. So again, in this general area, 2,700 is generally where I expect Ethereum to be stopping at on the higher time frame. So, like I was talking about, 90k for Bitcoin, I think we have that for Ethereum. So, we've got 40 minutes left. Let's go to Solana and see what's going on. It's not been too long. Again, it's been the same amount of time. I want to look at. So we had that order block. We've looked at it. Let's go to the 4 hour here. So what are we doing? So we had that resistance, again, high time frame resistance. We start to come downwards. Again, we had this general area. We just about came below equilibrium in this area. I think we had a support point We have this order block on the 1 hour. We have that general range. Again, this massive range here where the equilibrium is about $195. We can see we came to the support point and used it, and now we've started to come upwards again. We can see we've reversed this high. This is the same concept as well, where we have the high, we take that low, and then we don't take the high here, we take the high here. So here, we didn't use it as support, but we can see the midline here is $200.26. We can see we printed there really nicely at this area, at this line here, which is about $200 pretty much on the dot. And again, same concept where we have that high and we have that low. And in that one move, you have that move down, which takes the low, finds that longer term support, and then takes that high. It's the same thing. It's taking both sides. So we take one side, take the other. We draw that range from the high to the low, and we can see, midpoint, we could probably target at around that $200 mark. We found that support, and we've been continuing upwards, and obviously 206 and onwards. Taking these highs as well. We have some equal highs here. We're targeting. We're taking all these highs on the way upwards. So we're getting close to that resistance at 207. Obviously on the way upwards for Solana. So if we look at the daily, let me hide majoritively all of this stuff because I don't want it on my screen too much. I want to include this as well. There we go. So I just want to have a cleaner chart so we can just look at quickly. I also realized that the price is not on the screen there. There you go. There we go. So we have, again, the same concept here where you have those downs to the ups. Again, same thing we used back here as well, where you have that low to the high and you retrace past that low. What can we target? We have the gap to fill. We have filled it quite rightly. We have this support. And again, same concept here. We've been using it the entire time on the way downwards. We have this gap, which we had these equal lows at. We have these triple equal lows, a good place to target as well. Came into this expansion, came down a bit, and then had this massive candle which came upwards. And you can see we come back into it with this candle. Found support here. I'm going to delete this on the way upwards. Again, support point here. We use it in this candle, so we can use that as well as support on the way upwards. And we can see we've come down and we've used the support in this general area. So we filled this gap, found our support point around 187 in this general area, and then we've come up and took that high. So what we can do now is move this along, same thing, low to the high. And what we also have, interestingly, is this entire area is going to be a support point. But I do want to go to the 4 hour and look individually where these support points are going to be. So we can see we just about missed this one here. Again, we had this massive gap as well, which we saw we came to fill. We could also look at these individual candles on the way upwards as well, where we have all these candles which use our support. And again, we also want to use the concept of the fact that we are on the way upwards. We are using these supports on the way upwards because we are in an uptrend where we want to find support. So we've come below that equilibrium. We've come below this equilibrium here in this general area, and now we're coming towards these support points. Again, we have these gaps. We filled this gap, for example. We can go to the 1 hour, actually, it's a bit better, and we can see we can draw this a bit closer. Last candle before this pump upwards, which came into this imbalance area. As you can see, we have this area here. We also have an inverted we have this inverted gap here. If we want to look at this inverted gap as well, we can see we found our support point as we saw on the daily with that order block. So we've reversed and we've come past these areas. We can see with this one, we just printed right past it, and then we used it as support. So again, that's also something you can focus on. We use it as support. We have that last candle which gets absolutely just taken off. So this is going to be a support point, as we can see on the lower time frames. So if we now shimmy across, we can see we've been using this quite nicely, and we've come to that blue line of kind of an optimum area. And then what you can see here, we have this massive expansionary move, and if we draw the imbalance of that, we can see all these massive candles. We can see we've filled that exactly. Obviously, we had that rejection block here, which I was showing, where we've come to that support point here, and we've just started to continue upwards for Solana on the way upwards. So I do think Solana's in a good position. I do think we are continuing on the way upwards for Solana. Again, we are going to be targeting all these highs. There's not really much resistance. There might be a rejection block here. There's not really much resistance. Again, we took a lot of things. We have equal highs here. Again, another thing we want to target. But again, on the general idea, until we have that stopping point where Solana has that massive reversal, which I don't think we're at that point yet, and I have been talking about 225. We have some gaps back here as well, which we've been targeting. And again, this area we've been talking about since June, we've been talking about this main area, and obviously some of you guys can back me up here, the guys who are common to the streams. We've been talking about this general area since down here. We've been talking because we had this reversal. We had this reversal, high or low, and we were talking about, okay, cool. We have this massive range on the weekly where we're now retracing back upwards for Solana, where we want to target anywhere above this equilibrium at $195. Again, optimum area, looking for the resistance. Where's the resistance in this case? Where are we going to stop at? Well, we have some highs here. We could find some difficulty. And again, we did do that. So we found the highs. We came down. What else do we have? Well, we have some more highs at 220 and the order block at 220. We've come to about 217, 218. We had that order block, I believe, round about this move here. We have this move. I think it's actually on the dailies where the resistance was. Now I'm trying to find it now. Let me try to find this. Yeah, there it is. Okay. I think it's actually must be on the... Was it on the 1 hour? It might be on the 1 hour. I'm trying to find the resistance I have drawn. I think it might have drawn on the 1 hour. Here we go. Yeah, so it's on the 4 hour. It's not really nice to look at it here, but it's basically this move to this move. This is resistance. Again, we have the resistance here. We have the resistance here. We've content whatever. We have that resistance. Going back to the daily. I was on the 4 hour, wasn't I? Goes to 4 hour. There we go. So yeah, we had that resistance. As I said, we had that resistance here, which we've obviously used all that area to target. We had the resistance at 218, and then we had this expansionary imbalance here, with the main gap being in this area, which I already have drawn. And that's kind of where I was targeting. Again, yes, we do have one more gap at 250, but this main area is the one we've been talking about, and that's where I think we could target for Solana to find at least a bit of a longer term resistance, to find it was kind of stopping this move, for example. But again, you can see the closer we get to this, the smaller this range is. You can see massive move up, massive move down, massive move up, smaller move down, smaller move up, smaller move down. You can see we're starting to get a bit tight in this area. We're starting to really slow down as we approach this main area we've been talking about for a long time now. So I do think Solana is continuing upwards, but I do think we are getting close to that point where we could be stopping and slowing down a bit and starting to come down and whatnot. Again, Bitcoin's already had that move of 124k. We've already started that move down. I think Solana has one more kind of leg upwards. I think Ethereum has one more leg upwards, but I do think we are going to start to have those move downwards for a while. Or not for a while, but in a while we're going to see move downwards for a while. But yeah, I do think we have hit this support point. I do think we are going to start to come back upwards for Solana and target some highs and whatnot. So yeah, we obviously will see how it goes, but that's pretty much it for Solana. So now I can move on to Syrup. Syrup hasn't hit the low yet, which is unfortunate. We are still waiting on this move. So what we have so far, 45.83. 45.83. I think it's probably better to look at some lower time frame, isn't it? Let's go to here. Okay. I think 1 hour is probably better. So again, similar scenario concepts. I think, where was I? Must have been the 1 hour. We had a resistance. Well, yeah, we had this singular candle. Okay, so I think I was going back a while. Yeah, so we had a gap here, maybe on the 4 hour, maybe on the lower time frame. We had a gap here, which we used. We found that resistance at 49 as well. We've been coming down. We formed this singular candle. You can see we have it here. This singular candle before the move downwards is going to be resistance. We can see we've just about been coming up into this area. We've come to about that midpoint, and you can see we've started to reverse now. What we have here, we also have a breaker block. Now, this is a bit harder to see. It's probably better to look at the lower time frames, but remember that concept where we had that. This is easy to look at on the uptrend. Obviously, let's draw it out. So what was that breaker block? We had that move upwards. Okay, there we go. We have that move upwards. And it's this move where you've taken that high, you take the low, and then you have that resistance, and this area is where you want to target. It could be the low, it could be the high, but you can see there's a general resistance area in that target. So we can see this last candle, we can see we have that high, we have that low, where you can see we take these highs, and then we take that low here with this. So we can see we have the highs with the low. So this general area here, which I have drawn out in this candle, we have the high here. To target, we have these triple equal highs here, which we take. We have that longer term resistance, as we've been talking about. We have that move down, which takes the low. And then what can we see? We have that move back upwards, which finds the resistance. So we can see we have this reversal. We have this massive imbalance area, which kind of dumps down, we want to retrace back up into that area. We have this main area to focus on, the breaker block, and we can see if you look at the midpoint, we come to it pretty nicely, maybe 0.0001 cent off. You know, it's pretty much that high here. So we have that resistance. We've now used that and we've come down. We have a bit of a gap here as well. I'm not sure if this is the 1 hour or what. Oh, it's actually an order block in this case, because again, as well, this is something to bear in mind. Order blocks, obviously, if you don't know what that is, it's, you know, it's one of the concepts, whatever. It's I'm not going to teach it because we've got 3 minutes and 33 seconds left, but the order block, you can use, they can cascade downwards, if you will. So you can have that resistance, and then you find resistance, and again, same engulfing idea here. You have that resistance there. This is going to be resistance as well. So you can see kind of we have these highs here, we take them, we come down, this is going to be resistance. And again, we also have that idea, we've taken this low now, this previous low, we've taken these lows and we've done a lower high. So now we're going to look for that retracement we've been looking at on Bitcoin, on Solana, on Ethereum, on World Liberty Finance, same concept, same ideas. So in this case, we have this move downwards, we have this move upwards, you know, coming up above equilibrium. This is optimum area. It doesn't necessarily mean it's perfect. It doesn't have to come to the exact blue line or whatever. But you can see where's the actual price action. Because again, if I was looking at this range and just looking at these random lines, I might as well use the fib retracement. And again, this is technically a fib retracement, the tool itself, but these are different numbers. But, you know, people use fib retracements. I might as well be doing the same thing. Because you want to look at price action. You can't just let a random line of a random mathematical formula give you the area. Okay, you know, you do want to actually try to look at price action and try to actually look at the charts and see why price is moving that way. And obviously, if you actually look at the price action, we had the gap here. Again, this isn't really, once you print past that low, this is the gaps to focus on. We did have a gap here. We did obviously fill it. Again, we did kind of come into the area here. We did fill it. You know, going to the 30-minute, we can see massive expansion downwards. But you can see this was the main area to focus on. We printed past that low. This was the same thing I looked at World Liberty Finance. Same gap area, same retracement, same move downwards. We did have big gaps, and yes, we did fill this top one. Technically, on the 30... That should be a mic, apologise. I don't look at the 30-minute, look at, there we go. So you can see, even though on the 1 hour it's an order block, it's actually also a gap on the 15-minute, which you can see, if we draw that across, you can see we've come to fill that midpoint really nicely. So yes, we did have that there. But on the 50-minute, we don't really have much gap here. We did have a gap here, which we used. We had some highs here. We did fill it here. We did continue downwards. But again, we've come to take these lows. We finally found a reversal area. Again, so once you've started to reverse, and once you've come to a higher time frame support point, why are you going to want to find resistance at nowhere near above equilibrium? Why are you going to want to find resistance here if you've come from a higher time frame support point which brings you upwards? Why are you going to want to look for resistance? You want to look at the higher range and you want to find that higher resistance point in this wider trend. As you can see, obviously that is going to be this order block. We come down, but we've missed this low, which is very unfortunate. We didn't actually take that low. We've just about tickled it here. So this technically is a failed swing low. So what I will say about this is a failed swing low. It could technically mean for us, we might try to push higher past this high. And what that means, obviously, if we fail to swing this and we come upwards, we could try to take this high. If we take this high, that is going to be us start to come upwards again for syrup. Now, the unfortunate part about this is I've been talking about taking this low for a long time, and this is a failed swing, and it's the same thing here, failed swing. And it saddens me how close we were to this low. This is actually a bit... let me shimmy that down a bit more so it's better. There we go. We can see we weren't like a few pennies off. We were not even, we were fractions of a penny off. So we missed that low. The one I've been talking about since here. I talked about this low. I talked about this at 53, at this area at 50. We've talked about this retracement for syrup. We've come to this low. This could be a failed swing. And if this is a failed swing, we could start to push higher. So what I will say, for the first time in a long time for syrup, every time I looked at syrup, it's good. It has been... oh yeah, we're coming down this at the other. But syrup could be showing signs of potentially reversing. Interesting thing here as well is you can see we had this downtrend. We've had this reversal trying to push up to print higher. We had a print above the candle body, so this could mean a change in state. And what this means, we had this inverted gap here as well. So we have this gap of interest. And you can see we're starting to come up down into it a bit. We could maybe use this as support as well. So focusing on that as a main thing. So we could potentially see a bit of positivity for syrup, a bit of movement upwards, but yeah, obviously we will see. So the guy who likes Tito is not here for Sui, but I will still look at it nonetheless and just give an update. So The main target, I have been talking about $3.10 to $3.15. We actually came to $3.10 pretty nicely. We filled the rest of this gap here. We're getting very close to the point of where I want to target. Same thing here. We had this the gap on the 4 hour we tickled into. I wanted to look at the entry immediately. For again, we had these quadruple equal highs, which we took in this trade. Obviously looking for resistance here above equilibrium. I had this drawn Thursday time actually. So you can see we've kind of used this. And the little gap was actually here. You can see we actually filled that quite nicely. But on the 4 hour, the main gap was there. We can see we filled this and we've reversed continuously. And again, this has been us using this on the way down for a long time. Now, I know this chart's very ugly. I do need to update it a bit. But again, same thing. We've been looking at these retracements from the high to the low. We've been looking at this retracement, high to the low. Retracement here. I don't think I have this drawn out though. High to the low. Retracement here, high to the low. Again, you can see on the lower time frame, we have here, we have this high, we have this low, we have the high at 3.53, and then we took that low and we've been continuing downwards. But the main trend we have is this move. Now, what I will say about this is, on the weekly, we are in this uptrend. On the weekly, we are moving upwards. We have this low, order block here, high, equal highs here. We have this retracement. I do think we, again, $3.10, filling this gap here, continuing downwards and filling this area, towards this $3.15, $3.10. I do think at some point with SUI, we could start to potentially see a bit of a move upwards for SUI. We do have equal highs here. You can see we failed to do that swing again. Remember what we talked about with failed swings? It's like if we have this move to the high, move low, we didn't print past this low, number one. But if you were to look at retracement, we did come past equilibrium, we did retrace, failed swing, print past the high. So I'm not really concerned if we're high to the low. This is now an uptrend. So now we're targeting these equal highs at 445. These highs at 535, and I think on the higher time frame we're going to be continuing this move upwards towards 445. So I do think SUI is in that moment now. I do think Sui's in that moment to focus on maybe looking for, a bit of a reversal, starting to move back upwards towards, 445. So that is it for Sui. I didn't really. This is a conclusionary chart. It's not really much of a. I don't have much more to say about Sui. We've already looked at this. We've already talked about $3.10 to $3.15. We've come to $3.10. It could be an area to, again, I'm not saying $3.10, I'm not saying it's going to be perfect. I did talk, $2.95 was also a bit of a valid area. If we go to the daily, we did have this last gap as well, coming to about $3.06 to $3. So again, and an important part about this one as well is we can see we had high to low, and then we kind of shimmied upwards a bit. We had a bit of a high here, and then we started to try to come downwards, and then this was kind of our expansion move. So you can see we had these highs and whatnot. And then in terms of the general move, can't really see on the weekly actually. It's general move. It's like, yes, we did have this kind of low, high, and then we kind of swung it a bit and then came upwards from these equal highs. And you can see with this candle is what printed above it, and this candle. So you can see what I was talking about was this $3.10 area, which was this area again, which we filled. But more than happily, we could also be looking at that individual one at $2.93 as well. So it's that general area, $3.10 to $3.06. Again, I do think we could watch a reversal. I'm not saying long right now. Again, this is going to take some time to happen. This is a daily thing. But I do think soon we want to be targeting Sui for a long, not financial advice. So if you're a Sui holder, I know Tita's a Sui holder. If you're a Sui holder, this could be absolutely amazing news for you. So again, not financial advice. So that is it for the chart. I'm only 8 minutes over, not bad. Let me look at the chat. It's been a long time. Let me look at the chat, see if there's anything really quickly to look at, and then we can end the stream. Kishan, love TA. Appreciate you, Kishan. You know you're the go. Okay, you know you're the go. Kelly, I help you. Maybe you can. Invest only Dogecoin. Yeah, you know what? If that works for you, absolutely, sure. If it works for you, it works for you. Vinny, what are you doing here? Trying to chill yourself in my chart. Get out of it, man. And then some guys trying to ask for $4. Okay, cool. So that's pretty much it. Newt coin. I will quickly look at Newt coin. I did actually just someone asked for Filecoin. I'm going to challenge myself. That's not how you spell file. It was actually how you spell file. Is this the coin? Wait, what coin was it? Is the guy still here? Which coin? Okay, I'll look at Newt, and then I'll see if that guy who asked a long time ago, I forgot which coin it was actually. Okay, I'll look at Newt coin quickly. I'll spend 1 minute on it, and 1 minute on the other coin if the guy answers again. I forgot which coin it was. If not, I'll end the stream. So again, max 1 minute. Let's see if we can do it. Because again, I'm going to try not to. I didn't even cover CRO today. I was supposed to look at CRO. I didn't. So I'm going to try not to look at World WC Finance next stream. I don't really, Newt coin. So I assume it's just this one. It's the only one we have. Okay, cool. So when was it released? Okay, it has some history to it. So daily wise, what do we have? So again, it's kind of the same concept. Even though, yeah, we did print past these highs. Here, failed swing. So again, high, low, lower high, lower low. So it's the idea, ignoring this. If we were to take it from this high, we can see high to the low. This is going to be technically a rejection block. We can see we found resistance about that 74, whatever. We can now look at the actual TA. We have the high. I don't want to look at that retracement. We have that resistance. Okay, yeah. So in this case, it was it was high to the low. Same thing we've been looking at so far. Pretty good. This is daily as well. High to the low, found resistance. Where are we going to target? And again, this is like Dora the Explorer, guys. If you're here in the stream, what have we been talking about? If you're not a bot and you've actually been, not to insult people, I'm saying there's bots in the chat. If you're someone who's actually watching the chats, what do we look for when we're looking for this retracement? We're looking for this lower high. What are we looking for? That's right. I know you're saying it in your head. I know you're shouting it at the screen. It's a lower low. So where are we going to go to? The lower low. Okay, cool. So brilliant. Yeah, that's what we've done. We've found that high. Again, this is pretty rapid daily. Obviously, if you go to the 4 hour, you can see it a bit rapid. Again, if I saw it coming up to here, I'm definitely shorting. But anyway, but you can see it obviously coming downwards. If you go to the 1 hour, actually, we can probably see. Watch the actual reversal. We can see coming upwards, down, up, down. We can see massive, ridiculous, just move downwards from here. But in this case, you can see it's like okay, cool. We have these highs. Actually, want to go to the 15-minute here. Here we go. We can see it a bit better here now. So this is the reasoning. Here we go. So we can have this reasoning. So we can see move high. We have this low. We have these lows. We have this print. Okay, this print. This is important to remember. This print, because this is where we have the gap. Again, we filled this gap. That is it. That's what I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? I've been looking at that, looking for the reversal again. We have the lows. We come up, come down, come up, lower high, fail swing, boom. We print past this low. Okay, cool. This is it. Look at this area. This area as well. We have this with this area. We fill it. We come down. Cool. Anyway, so we have that reversal. Cool. We've come down to the lows, and now we're going to wait to find where's the low going to stop at. So that's the target for me for Newt. If you're someone, and the guy who's asking for Newt, investment. So I assume he's bought. So then, not fair. What do you mean not fair? I don't know what it's not fair about. I don't know what's... Well, my camera's blue. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's not fair. If you can fill me in. But anyway, new guy. Investment, I assume, means he's bought it. If he's shorted it, obviously, he would be very happy because obviously it's come down. If he's bought it, I don't know where he's bought it from. I hope he hasn't bought it from 75 cents. That wouldn't be very good. Because I wouldn't be giving him very good news. Because again, my news is going to be starting this move down for a lower high, moving down to a lower low, finding a lower high, coming down. Similar to what we have on World WC Finance, to be fair. But anyway, we're going to produce that low. At some point, we're going to produce that low. So we're going to want to look at this high to a... we haven't found the low yet. Nothing. All right, fine. So we want to find that low. Okay, the target, what I would do right now, and again, obviously, if you want to do TA, this is what I would guide would be. Where's the low going to be? Okay, what I'll say, you've bought it. It'll retrace. Maybe, okay, let's say this is the area. Okay, this is going to be resistance, and let's go to I can't go to... There we go. I want you to do it on daily, but it's not really... It's really... This is the whole area's resistance. Like, you know what I mean? You can see we've kind of used it here. Okay, what I would say... my final advice is we're going to retrace. Okay? We're going to retrace. And obviously the idea would be... we would want to... We only just about got above that equilibrium on that. We're going to want to come up. And yes, I think we could retrace pretty high for Newt. If it gets towards that... You know, if it gets towards some of these highs at 40 cents, starts to push up towards the equilibrium, I would really strongly consider getting out. So, yes, if you're worried, I do think it could come up one more time. It could come up again. And what I will say about that is to sell. Get out. Anyway, that's it. I can't look at any more. I noticed when people asking for Pepe. Do what you want. Absolutely. You know what? Not financial advice. I can't. I could never give you financial advice. So it's, even if I covered it for 15 minutes, you'd still have to take your own. But what I can do, I can look at it, either post it in Telegram or I can do it next stream. I can look at Pepe next stream because it is 1:15. I tried to do an hour stream. It's 10:15. I am well over the stream. It's gone over. So yeah, I'm gonna end it. I do apologize if I continue to look at coins from the chat. I will be here forever. So thank you. All of you for being here. Appreciate you all for being here. And if you enjoyed and obviously want to come along next stream, I'll be streaming. It's Tuesday today. We'll be streaming tomorrow to do a quiz. If you know what the quizzes are, you can come along. Not to say on the platform because I'm not allowed, but you can come along to one of our platforms. Just look up Crypto Warehouse on Google. And we will be streaming a quiz. And what that entails, we'll be asking questions in YouTube, in the stream, and you answer it in the chat. You put 1, 2, or 3, and you have a chance to win crypto. We're doing it on a certain other thing, and that also entails us giving away stuff. So I would strongly urge any of you here to come along tomorrow because you could obviously maybe potentially win something, take part, have a bit of fun, whatever. If you don't really care, if you like, what this guy's yapping, who gives a singular care about what he's just said? Fine, that's your opinion. I'll be back on Thursday. So I'll be back on Thursday for another chart stream. If you also desire you need information, you need it right now, you can come to the Telegram and you can message or you can DM me, and I can see if I can get around to it. Okay, so you can message me if you want. But other than that. If you really can't be asked and you don't care, you like just leave, just get off. I don't want to be here anymore. I'll be back Thursday. So, for all of you here, thank you so much for joining. If you're new, hopefully you enjoyed. Appreciate you all for being here. Shout out to you all. I want to buy some Sui. I would. Sui good for buy. I would. Sorry, the certain other chat. I haven't been reading as much. I've been on another chat. Yes. You might still be here. I don't know. I think Sui at some point is a good buy. If you're buying and not longing, because you could get liquidated, obviously. If you're buying, I think it could be a good area to buy at. Unless we have a massive dump. Again, not financial advice. So far, it's pretty systematic. It would be a good area to target. Not financial advice, but you could buy Sui. Other than that, I will be back Thursday. Thank you, all of you. I know, I'm not fun. I can't. I need to end the stream. It's 17 minutes past. I'm going to end the stream. Thank you. See you all Thursday. See you all tomorrow if you're going to be here. Thank you. Goodbye.